If you're planning a trip to southern Albania, chances are you've already seen hundreds of photos and videos of Saranda and Ksamil. Turquoise water, white beaches, tiny islands, and captions calling it the Maldives of Europe. But here's the truth. Planning a trip here isn't as simple as social media makes it look. Should you stay in Saranda or Ksamil? Which airport should you fly into? How expensive is it really? Do you actually need a car? And which beaches are worth your time? After spending weeks exploring this coastline ourselves, we've put together the complete guide we wish we had before visiting. In the next few minutes, we'll cover everything. How to get here, where to stay, how to move around, the best beaches, hidden gems, prices, and food. Also, the biggest mistakes tourists make, and exactly how many days you should spend here. By the end of this video, you won't need another travel guide. And before we begin, don't forget to check out the description below, where you'll find discounts on travel insurance, eSIMs, car rentals, and some of the best tours available in southern Albania. Now, let's start with the very first thing you need to decide before booking your trip. How to get to Saranda and Ksamil. Unlike most destinations in Albania, there isn't just one way to reach Saranda, and depending on where you're flying from, choosing the right route can save you both time and money. Most international travelers arrive through Tirana International Airport, Albania's main gateway. From there, Saranda is around 270 kilometers away. The drive usually takes between 4 and 5 hours depending on traffic, especially during the summer months. You have several options. Renting a car is by far the easiest and most flexible choice, especially if you plan to explore the Albanian Riviera. Not from the airport, but there are also direct buses connecting Tirana with Saranda every day. You just need to reach Tirana bus station and you'll get to see different minivans that go to different destinations. And Saranda is one of them. From the airport, you'll get the closest ones. The buses are affordable, comfortable enough for most travelers, and a good option if you don't want to drive. But here's something many people don't realize. Flying into Greece can actually be the smarter option. If you find a good flight to Corfu, you're only a short taxi ride away from the ferry terminal. From there, ferries cross the Ionian Sea directly to Saranda in around 30 to 70 minutes, depending on the service. Sometimes this route is not only faster, it can be also cheaper. So before booking your flights, compare both Tirana and Corfu. You might be surprised. When is the best time to visit? This is probably one of the most important decisions you'll make, because the experience changes dramatically depending on the month. If you're looking for the perfect balance between weather, prices, and fewer crowds, we honestly recommend visiting in June or September. The sea is already warm enough for swimming, the weather is fantastic, restaurants, hotels, and beach clubs are fully open, but compared to July and August, everything feels much more relaxed. Parking is easier, traffic is lighter, accommodation is often cheaper, and you'll spend far less time waiting in restaurants or looking for a free sunbed. July and August are the busiest months of the year. The atmosphere is lively, everything is open until late at night, and the coastline is full of energy. But this also means higher prices, heavier traffic, and much larger crowds, especially in Ksamil. If you don't mind that, you'll still have an incredible experience. Just make sure to book everything well in advance. If you're visiting in May or October, expect a much quieter destination. Some businesses may already be closed, but you will enjoy peaceful beaches and pleasant temperature, making these months ideal for travelers who prefer a slower pace. So, unless you're tied to school holidays, June and September are easily our favorite months to visit. So, Saranda or Ksamil, where should you stay? This is probably the question we receive more than any other. Should you stay in Saranda or should you stay in Ksamil? The answer depends entirely on the type of trip you're looking for. Saranda is a real coastal city. It has a long waterfront promenade filled with restaurants, cafes, supermarkets, hotels, bars, and shops. It's lively from morning until late at night and offers the widest choice of accommodation for every budget. It's also the main transport hub in southern Albania. If you're planning day trips to places like the Blue Eye, Butrint, Girocastle or Corfu, Saranda is definitely the most practical base. Ksamil, on the other hand, is all about the beaches. Life here moves much slower. The turquoise bays, small islands and beach clubs are the main attraction. If your dream vacation consists of spending every day swimming in crystal clear water and relaxing by the sea, Ksamil is hard to beat. However, there's one thing many first-time visitors don't expect. Ksamil becomes extremely busy during peak season. Roads get congested, parking is difficult, and restaurants often have long waiting times. That's why many travelers actually choose to stay in Saranda and simply drive to Ksamil during the day. You get better accommodation choices, more restaurants, easier access to supermarkets, and a much livelier atmosphere in the evening. Personally, if it were our first trip, we'd choose Saranda as a base and explore Ksamil during the day. It's the best option that gives you the most flexibility while still allowing you to enjoy everything this beautiful coastline has to offer. Now that you've decided when to visit and where to stay, let's talk about something that can completely change your experience: getting around. At first glance, everything on Google Maps looks incredibly close. Saranda, Ksamil, the Blue Eye, Butrint, Mirror Beach, they all seem just a few minutes away, and technically they are. The problem is summer traffic. During July and August, the road connecting Saranda and Ksamil can become heavily congested, especially between late morning and sunset. A drive that should take only 20 minutes can easily take twice as long. That's why we always recommend leaving early in the morning, especially if you're heading to the beaches. So, do you actually need a car? Well, it depends on your travel style. If you're planning to spend most of your holiday relaxing between Saranda and Ksamil, using taxis, the local bus is perfectly possible. During summer, buses run frequently between the two towns and tickets are very inexpensive. Taxis are also widely available, although prices can be different depending on the season and time of the day. But if you really want to experience southern Albania beyond the main tourist areas, renting a car is absolutely worth it. It gives you complete freedom to explore places like the Blue Eye, Butrint National Park, Lukova, Borsh, Himar, Porto Palermo, and countless hidden beaches that public transport simply doesn't reach efficiently. The coastal roads are generally in good condition, and driving along the Albanian Riviera is honestly one of the highlights of the trip. Just remember one thing: parking, especially in Ksamil. During peak season, finding a parking space after 10 or 11 in the morning can become surprisingly difficult. Whenever possible, arrive early. You'll save yourself both time and stress. Now let's talk about accommodation. Choosing the right area can completely change your holiday. If you're staying in Saranda, we'd recommend looking for accommodation close to the waterfront promenade whenever possible. At first, hotels located higher up the hills might seem like a great deal. They often offer incredible sea views at lower prices. And while those views are beautiful, there's something many booking websites don't show you: the hills. Saranda is much steeper than it looks on a map. Walking back to your apartment after dinner might mean climbing hundreds of steps, often under temperature about 30 degrees. If you don't have a car, staying close to the promenade makes everything much easier. Restaurants, supermarkets, the beach, the port, everything is within walking distance. If you decide to stay in Ksamil instead, try booking as early as possible. Accommodation fills up quickly during summer, especially properties within walking distance of the beaches. Many hotels also offer private parking, which can be a huge advantage if you're renting a car. And speaking of booking, don't choose accommodation based only on price. Always read recent reviews. A hotel with fantastic photos can sometimes hide noisy surroundings, steep access roads, or disappointing service. Spending just a little more often can make a huge difference. So, how much does a trip cost? One of the biggest questions travelers ask is Saranda and Ksamil still cheap? The answer is yes, but not as cheap as many people expect. Southern Albania has become one of Europe's fastest growing summer destinations, and prices have increased significantly over the last few years. Compared to destinations like Santorini, Mykonos, Ibiza, or the Amalfi Coast, you'll still spend far less. But don't expect Southeast Asia prices. Accommodation varies depending on the season. Outside peak months, it's still possible to find excellent apartments at very reasonable prices. During July and August, however, prices can easily double. The same applies to restaurants and beach clubs. Coffee is still inexpensive, local bakeries are excellent value, traditional restaurants are usually very affordable, but beachfront locations naturally charge more. The biggest surprise for many visitors is the cost of sunbeds. Depending on the beach and the season, prices can vary enormously. Some public beaches remain completely free, while the most exclusive beach clubs charge significantly more for premium locations. Our advice: mix both experiences. Spend one day relaxing at a stylish beach club and the next day discovering one of the many public beaches nearby. Of course, no trip to Albania is complete without trying the local food. One of the things we loved the most about traveling here was just how fresh everything tastes. Being right on the Ionian coast means seafood is everywhere. If you want to try traditional Albanian cuisine, don't miss tarkosi, the country's national dish, made with baked lamb, rice, and a creamy yogurt sauce. Another local favorite is ferges, a rich dish prepared with peppers, tomatoes, and cheese. Although recipes vary from region to region, you'll also find burek almost everywhere. This flaky pastry filled with cheese, meat, or spinach is perfect for breakfast or a quick lunch on the go. And if you have a sweet tooth, make sure to try trileche or baklava for dessert. They're both incredibly popular across Albania. Finally, one small tip: some of the best meals we had weren't at fancy restaurants overlooking the sea. They were at family-run taverns located just a couple of streets away from the waterfront. Now it's time to talk about the reason why most people come here: the beaches. Because when you see photos of southern Albania online, this is what you imagine: crystal clear, turquoise water, hidden bays, small islands, and landscapes that honestly look like they belong somewhere much more expensive. But here's something important to know: not all beaches around Saranda and Ksamil are the same. Some are perfect for relaxing, some are better for swimming, some are beautiful because of the scenery, and some are simply too crowded during summer. So let's start with the place that made this coastline famous: Ksamil. Ksamil is without a doubt the most famous destination in southern Albania, and the reason is obvious: the water here is incredible. The small islands just offshore create a landscape that feels almost tropical. You can swim, rent a kayak, take a boat, or simply relax while looking at one of the most beautiful views in Albania. But there is something you need to understand before coming here: the Ksamil you see on Instagram is not always the Ksamil you'll experience in August. During peak season, the most famous beaches can become extremely crowded. Sunbeds cover large parts of the coastline, music from beach clubs fills the air, and finding a quiet spot can be difficult. That doesn't mean you should skip Ksamil. It just means you should visit it in the right way. Our advice: come early in the morning, the atmosphere completely changes, the water is calmer, the beaches are much quieter, and you can actually appreciate why this place became so famous. Some of the most popular areas include the main Ksamil beaches, the small islands accessible by swimming or boat, and the beach clubs with incredible views over the Ionian Sea. But please don't stop only at the most famous spots. Some of the best experiences are found just outside the center. Mirror Beach. One of our favorite beaches in the area is Mirror Beach, also known as Plaži I Pasqurave, and the name already tells you something. And when the sun hits the water, you understand why. The sea reflects the light, creating incredible shades of blue and turquoise. The scenery here feels much more wild compared to Ksamil. There are cliffs surrounding this beach, clear water, and a more natural atmosphere. However, there is one thing you should know: the road to reach Mirror Beach is not the easiest. The last part can be quite steep, and during high season, parking can become challenging. But if you arrive early, it's absolutely worth it. This is one of those places where the journey is part of the experience. Another place we highly recommend is Butrint Beach. Located between Saranda and Ksamil, this small hidden gem combines two things that make the Albanian Riviera special: beautiful nature and incredible views. The beach is surrounded by rocks and cliffs, creating a very unique atmosphere. The water is usually calm and perfect for swimming. It's also a great place to watch the sunset. Compared to Ksamil, Butrint feels much more authentic and less developed. Even in this case, the road down can be a little challenging, but again, the views are the reward. And here is something many tourists miss: they come to Saranda and Ksamil, but they never explore farther. And that's a huge mistake, because some of the most beautiful beaches in Albania are not actually inside Ksamil. Places like Lukova, Borsh, Himar, and Porto Palermo, Ceparo offer some of the most spectacular coastline in the entire country. The advantage: they are often much less crowded, the water is just as beautiful, and the landscapes become even more dramatic. The Albanian Riviera is not just one destination, it's an entire coastline waiting to be explored. So if you have a rental car and extra time, don't limit yourself to only Saranda and Ksamil. Of course, southern Albania is not only about swimming and relaxing. There are incredible places to visit nearby, and some of them are among the most unique attractions in the country. One of the absolute must-see places is Butrint. Located just a few kilometers from Ksamil, this ancient city is one of Albania's most important historical sites. Walking through Butrint feels feels like traveling through thousands of years of history. The area was influenced by Greeks, Romans, Byzantines, and Venetians. You can explore ancient theaters, temples, city walls, and ruins surrounded by incredible nature. What makes Butrint special is the combination of history and landscape. You're not just visiting ruins, you're walking through an ancient city surrounded by forests and wetlands. Another place that should be on your list is the Blue Eye, one of Albania's most famous natural wonders. This incredible freshwater spring has unbelievably clear blue water. The color is almost impossible to describe. It looks like someone added a filter to reality. But please be careful, the Blue Eye is not a swimming pool. Swimming has been restricted in recent years because it's a natural spring and for conservation efforts. The best experience is simply walking around, enjoying the scenery, and seeing this unique natural phenomenon. Now, if you want one of the best views of Saranda, head to Lekurësi Castle. Located on a hill above the city, is the perfect place to visit around sunset. From here you can see Saranda Bay, the Ionian Sea, Ksamil in the distance, and even Corfu on clear days. It's one of those places where you understand the geography of the entire area. The best time to visit, definitely before sunset. And there is a restaurant, so you can have dinner here. Another amazing experience is exploring the coastline by boat. From Saranda, you can find different tours taking you to hidden caves, beaches, and swimming spots that are impossible to reach by car. And if you have enough time, you can even take a day trip to Corfu. This Greek island is just across the sea, and ferries connect it on a daily basis with Saranda. It's a unique opportunity to visit two countries during the same vacation. In the description below, you can find different activities you can book in advance, and by using our discount code, you'll get 5% off your first booking. Before finishing this guide, there are some mistakes we really want you to avoid, because they can completely change your experience. Unrealistic expectations, and this is probably the most important one. Don't come to Albania expecting it to be exactly like Western Europe, because this is where some travelers get disappointed. Albania is a country that has changed incredibly fast in a very short period of time. For decades, it was one of the most isolated countries in the world under a strict communist regime. After the fall of communism in the early 1990s, Albania had to rebuild almost everything from scratch. And in just the last few years, tourism has grown massively. Places like Saranda and Ksamil went from being relatively unknown destinations to some of the most popular summer spots in Europe. But this rapid growth also comes with challenges. Infrastructure is still developing, roads, public services, and urban planning don't always move at the same speed as tourism. But it is also part of what makes Albania unique. You are visiting a country that is changing in real time. A place where modern beach clubs can exist just a few minutes away from traditional villages, where new hotels are being built next to areas that still preserve the old way of life. The key is to come with the right mindset. Don't compare every single detail to countries that have had decades or centuries to develop their tourism industry. Instead, appreciate the incredible progress Albania has made and the authenticity that still remains. And most importantly, don't come with prejudices. Many people still have outdated ideas about Albania based on stereotypes from the past. But once you visit, you discover a country with stunning landscapes, welcoming people, delicious food, and a culture that is much richer than many travelers expect. Travel is about understanding places, not just judging them. And if you arrive with curiosity instead of unrealistic expectations, Albania will probably surprise you in the best possible way. We hope this guide helped you plan your trip and gave you a better idea of what to expect before visiting Southern Albania. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more complete travel guides, hidden gems, and destinations around the world. And remember to check the description below, where you can find our travel discounts for insurance, eSIMs, car rentals, and activities to help you plan your next adventure. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next journey.